Hey fellow enjoyers of Last Epoch, for Season 3 I've cooked up an insanely bursty Bladedancer build for you guys to start their journey strong, making use of Shadow Cascades to have a Shadow Cascade effect. Bad jokes aside, this starter one-shots every Echo boss up to Corruption 200 in very basic gear, thanks to an absurd amount of armor shred and shred effect, and very high pure physical damage output. The build is super fun to play because of those red circle thingies that melt everything. There is a little rotation to it, but don't worry, most enemies can't withstand more than one anyways. That's the idea behind it. Brutal build to brute force content early in order to farm up a more sophisticated Bladedancer setup for endgame. Have I sold you the build by now, like a sleazy used car salesman? Not yet? Okay, let's talk about the mechanics behind it. Dancing strikes costs a ton of mana. Leaves behind 4 shadows. When they spawn, they use a little Shadow Cascade. When they proc, they use Shadow Cascade. Yeah, and I can use Shadow Cascade. I can also, when starting and ending shift, I get a Shadow Cascade, and it stacks up and stacks up and stacks up. That's absolutely insane. Like this already, like let's say, okay, starting out Corruption 100. You could clear the Echo just doing this, right? And now it's multiplied by 5, 6, 7, like seven cascades at once. And it's also a little bit of old school build. Yeah, when I started out playing this game, there were not too many items, like things like Dreadstone wasn't even in the game. I think there wasn't even the class relic and so on. But this is a little bit like the old school setup. No damage conversion whatsoever, no bleed, no poison, just crit fist damage. The abilities I'm using are Shadow Cascade, Smoke Bomb, Synchronized Strike, Decoy, and Shift. And if you take a quick look above my skill bar here, you will see above the stack of flow. And every ability I'm clicking here gives me a stack, and the fourth ability will consume those stacks to deal, quote, greatly increased damage. Yeah, gain a stack of flow whenever you use a unique skill. Using a fourth unique skill will consume all the stacks in order to make the skill deal greatly increased damage. So I think this is worth it. It's not super important to look out for. I'm just used to, yeah, I'm just used to this little rotation to gain the maximum damage output. But the build is well capable of just zooming around and not thinking about it too much. But there is this hidden tech, and yeah, against the Echo bosses or against Orobyss, it's a little bit important to make use of these stacks to just melt the bosses, right? So showing you an example here. This is only Corruption 170. This is first ward proc. The second proc. I show you the gear after this. I have real newbie items on purpose. I have like 1 or 2 unique, useful uniques which I found, but the build would probably work without them. I'm also very squishy. I'm not crit avoidance capped, and I have barely 1600 HP. So I would recommend Synchronized Strike and or Shadow Cascade plus skills somewhere on the gear. I always recommend the class relic for starting out here, for just to want to rogue skills. Somewhat important item are those gloves, just for the 15% more melee damage against high health enemies. So you walk around and the monsters are all full HP, and that's how you get this real bursty one-shot effect because of this stat. My remaining gear, because I'm using Synchronized Strike, so this has insane mana costs. There are many ways to get mana back, mana regeneration within the skill tree, but it's also important to have rolls on the gear. So I prioritize that a little bit. Other than that, my weapons of choice is here an Assassin Obsidian Dagger of Acid, just for crit. Preferably, like this says, the better stat is like crit chance. This should be crit multi instead, so it's really dog tier items, and it still shreds everything. A good damage multiplier early on, and it drops from this boss I've just met that, is Siphon of Anguish. Movement speed is super nice on the Bladedancer because it's such a fast class anyways. And also void damage leached as health. Well, this is only fist damage. Nope, it applies Doom on hit. So they are applied with a debuff and they take more melee damage. And they have this debuff. This is all melee damage, melee attacks. So really nice ring and very easy to acquire. The second ring should absolutely be one with mana regeneration and whatever else. Just mana regeneration is the important stat here. For the boots, the build is super squishy, so I would go with the hybrid health here and or crit strike avoidance, which I absolutely can't farm up this dumb crit avoidance blessing. Like no matter what I try, this simply won't drop. It's cursed. It's like cursed. So with the roll on the boots and the blessing, it would be absolutely kept on the crit strike avoidance, which would be a neat bonus. It's a dodge build. I want to mention it here real quick. It's a dodge build, not a glancing blow build. And dodge is really carrying, man. Dodge is really carrying. Other than that, in terms of items, I have Bleeding Heart here. I found it like Last Echo. Before that I was using, yeah, this amulet. Mana regen, crit multi, maybe a little bit of health or whatever. So it's really non-gear reliant. Other than a few plus skills and you're good to go. Speaking of plus skills, Traitor's Tongue would be a really good addition to the build. It requires level 27. It's also only 1 to dex skills. This should say 2. Would be another plus skill right there. So that's what the build revolves around. Plus skills, crit multi, mana regeneration, and to tune up the damage and make it more smoothly, the gloves and the ring. That's pretty much it. That's what I would recommend for starting out empowered monoliths. And then working on tuning up the corruption and or farming up another, like I mentioned in the intro, more sophisticated setup. My idols here real quick, just things I found to be useful. I cannot tell you if this is the absolute best slot idols, that's what I'm running here, right? So crit multi by dual wielding, or a little bit more damage here and there, or crit chance while wielding a dagger, things like this. Only makes sense, right? That's for the idols. Blessings are a little bit scuffed because, as I mentioned a second ago, absolutely cannot get this crit avoidance thingy. I always like the more XP. What else do I have here? Yeah, more dodge rating, more res. Depending on your gear, right? I would just go with the blessings to improve whatever is lacking here. So here I even have like mana, like absolute crap. You know what I mean? And that's the purpose of it. It works with nothing. That's how a starter build is supposed to be. Starting out with Swift Assassin for the attack speed. So it makes these Shadow Cascades just faster. Right? They have this nice slice and dice, like 5 combo points slice and dice effect. If you know, you know. Into Twin Blades to dual wield. 1 into this to unlock evasion, less damage taken while moving. It's pretty much always moving. Here, haste proc, then 8 out of 8 duelist, more damage while dual wielding, more dodge rating while dual wielding, and have a few more points into critical precision, or just more crit, depending on the weapon type. So here in my case it's daggers, 40%, pretty strong multiplier. There will be slight changes to the Bladedancer skill tree when the patch 1.3 goes live, but it's nothing that's nerfed or whatever. It's just an improvement. I think it is here, Spellbreaker. So Spellbreaker will give crit strike avoidance, I guess. So this is basically buffed, right? Everything else stays the same. So I can perfectly say you can copy paste this and on like day 1, August 21st, will be perfectly fine. The only thing that's different will be Spellbreaker, and it will be a buff and improvement to the build. Here, this flow mechanic, you could get rid of it, but it's a strong multiplier, not going to lie. So you really feel the difference if you play a little bit around with this flow or not. So I would recommend it, and need to fill out points anyways in order to progress within the skill tree. So I think it's fine, and I would recommend it. Here, this was just for flat out increased shadow damage. Yeah, other than that, here defense, stacks of perfection. This one is strong, hooked blades, so armor shred chance, and most importantly, increased armor shred effect. Like I stacked those a lot in the build, and yeah, it turns out to be pretty decent. So everything just melts, even if it's a boss. Like the rotation can be a little bit iffy against a very high HP single target monster. But the thing is, it's like one rotation, boom, his shit procs, right? You do this a second time, boom, his shit procs. It's more like a speed farm. Clear those echoes as fast as possible type of build in order to just acquire loot, acquire currency, and then, yeah, see where the journey takes you, right? And yeah, therefore, like that's really strong then. What else? This one is really nice, Shadow Master. So those shadows that are left behind by Synchronized Strike and therefore proc those cascades like crazy, they did a ton more damage because of this node. Other than that, I have a few points in the Falconer for health and dodge rating, and super important, this one for the unlock bonus. I gain mana when I dodge, and it's a dodge build. So really strong node on a mana hungry build like this, and Raptor Wings just for a little damage buff with haste. And this character pretty much always has haste. Also here agility. In terms of skills on my skill bar, this time around I have a leveled up smoke bomb. So I made use of the abilities within its skill tree, which I rarely do. It's it's good as it is without skilling it, but this time around it's a little important. Because while it's tempting to just go in all the time. Sometimes I really gotta chill, maybe fight within the smoke bomb, which adds to the class fantasy in my humble opinion. There was a big crit right there. Yeah, and that's how it goes, right? Just proccing those cascades like crazy. Fairly simple build. And that's how it should be on like a starter, in my humble opinion. It's just razor sharp, and it feels like it is razor sharp, right? I mean, it's just a game, but it's good DPS. It's really good DPS. I can't even imagine this with endgame gear. Here, I made use of the flow stacks. Did one rotation. It can feel a little bit clunky if you just mindlessly spam it, but the rotation is really synchronized strike, pressing the cascade, or synchronized strike and dashing, and to gain the flow stacks, boom, smoke bomb, rinse and repeat. So it's a really nice playstyle, not too complicated, but it adds to the fun having this little rotation with the flow stacks. This was without flow stacks. You saw the damage difference a little bit, maybe? Took like 1 rotation more, or 1 rotation attempt more. My ability skill trees look like the following. So Shuriken is pretty much only here for the blade shield effect. And therefore it applies a ton of armor shred and debuffs like this. Don't have to use this manually, it just gets procced by shift. Here, sleight of hand. Other than that, shift gives mana back, it's really useful. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, yeah, after using shift, I use Shadow Cascade. It does basically 3 things: the Cascade, the Shurikens, and the resource, and or rather mana sustain. Then, as briefly mentioned at the very beginning of the video, Synchronous Strike can call allies here from Dark Allies. They deal increased more damage. It also, like I jump directly on top of the elite and apply critical vulnerability. Boom, there we go. I have so many plus skills on my gear. I have 1 point in Umbral Assassination and 1 point into Shadow Rush. Those 2 are not needed or necessary whatsoever. Just have it because of, it turned out that way because of my items. Here I have more attack speed after using Synchronous Strike, attack speed buff, all the Cascade procs. Other than that, here the main attack, pretty good stuff, is a melee ability. Physical melee, area, and dexterity are the scaling tags. And yeah, here the Shadow Cascade has a chance to create a shadow. This shadow, when leaves the game, basically leaves behind another cascade. It's just, that's how we get this nice effect, a nice visual effect on the just on the screen. A little bit more sustain. Shadow Cascade deals more damage per equipped sword or dagger. Dual wielding here, so. And my defensive tool, or my panic button, or rather, not really a panic button, so my engagement button is a smoke bomb. So I try in more difficult content, or when I suspect, when I click on a capsule mage or something, I just throw a smoke bomb and fight within its range. And it can apply armor shred stacks, again armor shred, you know what I mean? That revolves all around this stuff.